Welcome back, everybody, to the original Certain Point of View. Ladies are gone. They're out of here. It is guys' night, and maybe guys' night for the rest of the year. You don't know. Maybe maybe we kicked them off screen. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Let's not be hasty.
No, you never know. Anyway, we are back. We are ready. It is Friday Night Titans conversation all night long. It is myself. It is Brian. The OGs here on POV. And we understand that maybe half the viewers might leave because the girls aren't here. But guess what? We're excited. We're ready.
And we don't blame you.
Schmoedown is fully back. Brian, how you doing? How's your weekend? It's Sunday. Hanging in there?
Yeah, this week and next week are my murderer's row of weeks. So I had a bunch of stuff this week. Next week's parent-teacher conference. Don't fool yourself. He is not a heel.
What's the name of the show, everybody? Everyone's a heel.
Everyone's
a heel.
To Leo, clean-shaven Brian. It's not clean. It's a little stubbly. I can't go completely... Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter now because my kids called me a pedophile regardless of clean-shaven at work. So, no. Yes, Christina, my Peloton boo. Yeah, as she says, I bought a Peloton this weekend, so trying to get
Brian
back
Ward,
into shape.
You are not wrong, Brian Ward. You are not wrong.
Yes, we couldn't book Jill and Molly. That's why it's back to Jake and I.
Brian Ward, you have no idea how close to the heart that really is, my friend.
Touche. Jill is literally sitting in like a beach cabana at Disneyland or something, and Molly is just came back from a nice deserved vacation.
Molly is currently at the stage that Jill will be at tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like a nice little ring around the rosy with those two.
I don't know why we haven't learned yet that anytime Molly goes outside of the vicinity of her house, the day after is always
we just need
recuperation day.
He's not going to be on the show that weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So we still haven't figured that one out. But yeah.
Brian, so you got yourself one of those Pelotons.
Yeah,
Peloton, my friend.
Yeah, me trying to get back. I don't know if get into shape. I guess you have to be in shape to say get back in shape, but we'll see. Trying to look hot by Celebration.
Please don't ever say that again.
I'm kidding.
Please do not ever say that again.
But yeah. I had a track meet yesterday.
First one of the year, right?
First one of the year for the kids.
You guys stuck it up or what?
No, they didn't do bad. My team's young. I only have one senior, so
well, you guys are a young school, right? And a couple years ago, didn't you have like all older kids?
Yes. I mean, the school's
so it's kind of like transferred over now.
Yeah. So working
there.
Yeah.
Do not miss that. I mean, I miss it to an extent, but
I know.
But
it's
I went through that for a long time. So
long old track meet. If anyone's ever done that, that's a 10-hour commitment on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for parent-teacher conferences next week. If anyone, it's the best type of teacher revenge is a parent-teacher conference. Face-to-face. Mono, parent-teacher. Well, I guess it's more than mono because it's 3. And the kid. And you just... So tell me how you've been acting throughout the semester so far. I think I've been good. Nope, you've been horrible. So I can't wait. My favorite week of the year.
All right. Well, that's what Brian is looking forward to. It's been a busy weekend here as well. Sacramento was hit by a little bit of a cold wave. It was pretty cold this weekend. It was freezing yesterday, and I was driving around some Peeps wine tasting. I was the DD yesterday, which that was fun. And then today I played a little golf, classic Jake weekend. But enough of myself. I wanted to bring up our super chat here from one Mark Ellis.
Hi, Mark.
Y'all need a Molly? I know one. Hey, we would happily have a Molly on the show.
Do we have to go through PR to get her though? Because
yeah,
that might be. I mean, she's probably like top tier.
Yeah,
top tier. So
she's unreachable. She is unreachable. Okay, so look, Friday Night Titans is here. This is what the show is pretty much going to be about tonight. We're going to talk about the matches. We're going to talk about the scenes and storylines that were set forth, and then also that pseudo announcement towards the end of the event as well, being that cutscene with a few of the new characters who we have seen for the first time this year.
Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and we're going to talk about the whole thing overall as well. And so if we do forget anything or maybe pass something by, make sure to let us know in the chat. We love to hear from you guys. Of course, the Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. If you guys have any thoughts and reactions to stuff or questions for us as we kind of talk through this. I do want to leave the cutscenes until after we talk about the matches, because the 3 cutscenes that happened before, in the middle, and after are all one big thing. So I think kind of talking about them together would be a little bit of a better situation. And what I'm referring to is the Ethan Irwin stuff. That's obviously a big thing going forward in season 9. But I do want to start. Let's start with what I guess can kind of be considered the undercard match. I don't know if in Titans it's considered undercard and main card. It's just kind of the 2 matches, right? Jen Kemp and a opponent that at the time was unknown, and then as was revealed on the stream, Mr. Doug Benson has returned. High time has returned, and we got a really good match. This was like a very surprising, good, clean match between the 2 of them.
Do you think it was surprising? I'm not surprised, because Molly has been hyping up Doug Benson to us, at least for forever. She's always said that he is a threat, and we already know Jen's good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if it was. I mean, yes, I don't know necessarily if it was a surprise to see them play well, but I guess it was more of a surprise to see how down to the wire it came. It came down to the last question, right?
Did, yeah.
And Doug Benson, he missed the last 2. And Jen ended up winning. So she did everything that she needed to do as far as a competitor. She answered her questions. She put Doug on the ropes, and he just wasn't able to answer his questions. But yeah, I mean, like you said, both of them have been very highly regarded throughout the community for a while. Some people kind of cling on to some other people. Like you said, Molly has been hyping up Doug to us for a little bit. Jen has like slowly become someone who's very strong in movie trivia.
Whenever she loses, it's always by like 1 point. It's something so like teeny margins, tiny margins.
Yeah, and I think this is like, we've seen her in singles and we've seen her in Inner Geekdom, obviously. When
and
she
teams.
played Alex. Yeah, well, I was going more towards. I was gonna say this almost feels like this season will be her solo playing career outbreak. And she's played it before, obviously IG singles. She's obviously very good at teams, but I feel like this season she's really going to get the chance to kind of put herself forward as a singles player, someone who doesn't have to rely on another player as her backup. She's going to rely on her knowledge, what she knows, how she plays, her personality, etc. And I feel like this season is, and we've seen it before, but a lot of players, they take a little while to get going, right? Like example could be Janine's been around for a very long time, but last year was like her true coming out party. Like it took a bit, but she like exploded last year, and it almost feels like Jen is on a very similar path. And she started off the year with a win, which you can never argue against. And so I thought she looked fantastic, but so did Doug. And I would love to see Doug again.
Yeah, this is one of those matches that it's like you go, let's say 3 total matches, and you give each person one, and it's a coin toss on who wins that last one. Yeah. Like you're never going to really know who's probably going to win out of these matches between these two because they are both very good competitors. They both, I love how well Doug knows the rules and everything. Like he was using repeats. He was doing like, he was all.
And he's the first player we've seen this year without a manager, if I'm not mistaken. He's the first person to walk in solo and play solo, right? Because Chanjur had Roxy.
Yeah.
Brenden obviously had Koi. JT had
so.
Adam.
Yeah.
So he was the first one who, to your point, that's all on him. That's not like a manager helping him. That's all on him.
Yeah. And I mean, when I first saw him, I was like, oh, this would be good. Because like I said, Molly is a big Doug Benson guy and she loves his podcasts and listens to them. And she has always said, like, he is not just someone to, hey, look, Doug Benson's on it. Like, he'll give you a run for his money, for your money. And
I forgot my B.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Video Dolph.
Yes.
Was unmanaged. But
and for anyone listening audio, sorry, Brian, I don't mean to cut you off, but Bluff No More said Video Drew and Dolph also. That's
why I said it out loud.
Yeah, so they also didn't have a manager. I got to remember to read comments.
Yeah, we're trying to remember to enunciate out loud the comments. But yeah, no, Doug Benson is someone that isn't just there to like, hey, my new show's coming out. Like he's gonna be someone that's gonna give you a tough match. And Jen got a tough match with him, and she is not someone to take lightly. I mean, we've seen her how she did in Free for All and just all of her matches, and she's a dangerous player to be up against. And now that she has Kate too, I think that they're a fun fit. Yeah, this was a really good match. One that when I first saw them two, I was like, I don't know who's going to win this. You didn't know until the end because there was no blowout. There was no, someone took a massive lead and came back. Like it was neck and neck the whole entire time.
And it's interesting because we're going to see a very different type of Jen Kemp. Obviously we know what happened in Spectacular with Kate. She dumped the entire den, minus Thomas and Saul. And she's leaning into the very heel persona of herself, even though she had those tendencies. She's leaning into it a lot more because of things that have happened and the players that she has. Obviously, the addition of Ben Bateman and what he can bring to the table, and he did pop in during the post interview like classic heel Bateman would.
Of course.
But yeah, it's going to leave the door open for a very different type of Jen Kemp this season, which could play to her strength. We've seen it plenty of times before. Perfect example is Mike Kalinowski. He was a face when he entered this league. He was wearing the Captain America suit. You know, he was always cosplaying. He was having a good time. The second he went heel, he became one of the greatest competitors to grace this game. And so something like that, just a switch, a face turn or a heel turn could easily switch your game. And, you know, it's early. It's very early. We're only in week 1 of Titans. But the heel persona of the den with Kate and a different outlook for Jen seems to be paying off a little bit. She seems to be having a lot more fun than we've seen her in the past, even though she has been always fun. She's really playing into that Boston, that Boston atmosphere that she has, you know?
And then of course, it's like all these Boston people shop at the same place because she has her shirt and then Koi comes out in the same one. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, we've got more than just the Red Sox, Patriots, and Boston.
Well, and then it's funny, too, because JT is also Boston.
Yeah.
So it's just full of Boston. And Roxy, obviously. And there's just full of
I'm
Boston.
not complaining.
No, I know. The first 2 weeks are just full of Boston.
In the comments probably is. All you Yankee fans. But
yeah, so look, Jen Kemp, she looks great. First match out of the way. But Doug Benson was not someone that was an easy task. He looked very, very good as well. We've been hearing it for a while, how good he can be, but we never got the opportunity to kind of see him really flourish. And we saw in the post interview that he's actually like really wanting to get involved in this much more than he ever has. He wants to be back. He wants to be playing.
He's a showman.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's perfect.
Even if
being
he,
in front of
he's high all the time.
high
when he's
times.
doing it.
High times.
I loved how they did that intro with him. By the way, when they brought Jen in, and obviously we didn't know who she was playing, and Andrew Guy and Mark Ellis were like, "What's that smell? Do you smell that? Oh, that smells familiar." And obviously, when you see him come out, you're like, "Oh, duh."
Yeah,
like that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested though. I'm curious as to what's going to happen with him. Is he going to stay a rogue the entire time? Which I lean more towards.
I kind of want him to, because he can go up against some people that you're like, I don't know if I feel safe with my person playing that guy, because he knows the stuff. I mean, he has a movie podcast, I'm pretty sure, for God's sake. So
yeah, and I don't know if he fits into a faction like standard where you're playing with the team. It's not that he's not a team player. I'm just saying, like, some people fit in the faction, some people don't. We also know that there are very few factions who actually have spots left. Like, the factions are really filling up for the 5 people per faction.
Or being creative.
Yeah, so I do see him more being fit for the rogue atmosphere, and I think it plays to his character more. Because he can come in, he can have a good time. He can be high while he does it, and he doesn't have to worry about really doing it for anybody else. He can just go play movie trivia, which, if you want to have fun, here's your chance to play fun,
Yeah, so Vapion, you had a comment that I liked. Was Doug was one of the highlights to me, because if we're getting rid of digital matches, then I want a never know who will show up feel. Yeah, I completely agree. I do like not knowing sometimes. I sure as heck did not expect him to walk out. Like, if you would have been like, all right, here's a list of 10 possibilities of who might come out to play a Jen, he probably would have been at the bottom for me. Just like, I mean, I would have assumed someone else. So, like, you're in the second Titans week and you've already thrown out Doug Benson. Like, not a bad look. I mean, and if you are someone that likes said celebrity or something, and you're watching, and all of a sudden they come out for a match, you're like, oh, your interest is going to peak. So, yeah, I agree. I kind of like the surprise shock.
That's a great transition to kind of start a little conversation here. So we know that after last week's press conference that we were lucky enough to be a part of, and Jill represented us with Christian regarding Friday Night Titans. The entire press conference is up on our channel, actually. If you have not seen it, excuse me,
you can go to the channel and watch it there.
Christian answers a bunch of questions from the after shows, and there were about 6 of us included. But what I was going to say is, we know now that unlike the past 2 years, the schedule is not released ahead of time. And that is for a reason. They want situations like this where we don't know who's playing, and it's a surprise when someone walks out. It's a lot different than we've done in the past, but I know that they're going for that very wrestling atmosphere, which that happens in the wrestling world. And I'm not a wrestling fan, so I've never really watched it myself, so I don't know how it actually operates.
It's like that. You hear the music, you're familiar with the music of someone, and you hear it, and then you're like, oh my God, this person's coming out. So
yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. I mean, because we have obviously crafted our channel to a point where we're able to see who is playing, and as far as guests go and reactions and stuff like that. And obviously we're giving time now for the reactions because we're able to do it when the clip outs come out the following week. But do we like the idea of each week not knowing who's playing other than the main card? Like, for example, at the end of this episode, we got next week's main card, but we don't know who's playing before them. And like you said, Brian, the roster is very, very large. There's a lot of players, and you have to pick 2 from that list. It could literally be anybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's not at least that I'm aware of, a set list of who is in and who is out. So at this point, you could literally just expect anyone at any point at any time. So yeah, I mean, the fan in me I love it. Like, because it keeps you on your toes. You get to not know what's coming. The reactor, obviously, that's a bummer because it's we can't promote it. But I mean, it's not about us reacting to it. It's the fan getting the excitement type stuff. Yeah, because like I said, I would have never put Doug Benson on my list of who I thought was going to walk out after Jen. Probably if you would have given me the whole entire Schmoedown rosters, he would have been very low at the bottom for me. I would not have expected that, or at least him to come this early into the season.
Yeah, it's also cool because the last 2 years, and this is just because of the faction era and the drafts and stuff, we knew every single player who was actually able to play, who was able to participate in matches, in whether it was IG, Star Wars, singles teams, etc. But now, and as Christian said on that press conference, anything can happen in Titans. But with the idea of rogue players, anybody could play. It could literally be anybody. And he said managers can play if they want to. They can step in and challenge someone. So it's not just the faction players that we know are officially part of a team who we're going to be seeing each week. It's these people who just want to compete in movie trivia. And this could be people that we haven't seen in a couple of years who have previously competed in Schmoedown. I mean, look what happened when we revert back to a kind of an old school look at the MTS. And the first match out of the gate, we get Josh Makuga back in the Schmoedown. Like, he had been gone the past couple of years because of the digital era. Obviously, he had been very busy with work in his home life. He had a child.
Having a child.
Yeah, but like at the same time, the faction era,
the Steelers,
it doesn't fit someone like Josh Makuga, the wild man, right? And when he can just come in and have fun and play a match, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. I know that we're obviously getting back to the old school way of playing. And that's how it was in the past, right? It wasn't just a set number of people. It can be anybody on any given day. And like Leo said, and a couple other people in the chat, I like that the undercard is kept a secret. You know, we knew a little ahead of time that Jen was playing, but we didn't know her opponent. I would love to go in not knowing a single thing about
even the main. See, now I need, like, the greedy in me needs like just a little tease.
Yeah, I'll step back on that a little bit. I do like that we know that, like, for example, like I like that right now we know that Janine and Ethan are playing next week. Yeah. And it makes sense to hype it up and get that excited because it's the main card. You want people to be excited about it. But so I'll retract and I'll say that I like the fact that they're keeping at least one competitor a secret from the opening match. But I would actually like it to be a completely secret for the opening match. I wouldn't want to know who was playing at all. Just because I think it's fun that
do some Riddler clues like throughout the week. Like,
that's actually not bad. I mean, they're obviously busy and crazy. Like, they probably don't have time for that. But that's actually a pretty cool idea, just to like do like almost like a word puzzle to try to figure it out. Like you said, like riddles to kind of figure out which players are playing, or like kind of like a quiz, like, oh, this player resides from this part of the country or whatever. And of course, MTS fans are gonna be like, oh, duh, it's that person, because we're all geeks and super hardcore about this stuff. So
I know it'd be like the most obscure clue, and they'd be like, oh, it's Janine, and they're like, no, wait, we didn't even get to clue number 2.
Whoever's writing this is going to be like, oh my God, I wrote this so good. I'm going to stump these people. Yeah. And within a second, they're all going to be like, oh yeah, she's playing this weekend. Woo!
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, there goes that. But yeah, no, I like a good surprise, especially the undercard. You don't really have any like main expectations. And then as far as factions, I think the more or less you kind of have to, at least from what I've gotten the feeling, you kind of have to just like forget factions. It's like before the digital era where like corruption was a team. They were a faction, but like at the end of the day, they weren't going to like win best faction of the year type thing, which is more or less, I think, what we're doing now again. Whereas we took the sport element out of faction, like where there's a championship at the end, and it's more or less just like a group of people that have formed a team to be better than you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's going back to that old school way, and I do like it a little bit more this way. Of course, I like the faction stuff, and it's very exciting. But I like the past Schmoedown and kind of how it worked, because that's how we fell in love with it, right? We had to adjust, and it did its purpose for the 2 years. But I wanted to bring up quickly before we move on to the next match. A couple people brought it up in the chat. Farrell, Brian Ward, because he always does that. Jeffrey DeGraw, and Harrison as well. Star Wars matches. And this was brought up in that press conference. And because it was over the last week of Schmoedown, we can kind of talk about it here. We're going to be getting a very minimal number of Star Wars matches this year, which is obviously unfortunate because we're all, especially here, we're big Star Wars people and we love the Star Wars matches. But we've talked about it to where if they're really committed to doing in-studio matches and it being in person, 90% of the Star Wars division lives across the country, right?
Yeah,
they don't live in California. They live in, the Damons are in Georgia, the Demelantas are in Florida.
I'm pretty sure Sean and Witt and Scrimshaw are the only LA.
Yeah, like
and
Ace is in Arizona, which is easy to drive over for, but
that's easy if you're the one saying it.
Yeah. But so there's not going to be a ton of Star Wars matches this year, and he did say that they're trying to figure something out to bring it back, and they haven't revealed as to what. But at the moment, and we have to keep in mind, this is how it was 3 years ago. We didn't get Star Wars matches every month or every couple weeks like we had over the last 2 years. They were a number one contender match and a title match, or we had a 3-way, or we had an Iron Man match. They were kind of like these specialized matches in a division that was very new, but because of the digital era, it blew up, and it's a bummer. But I also understand because it's hard to do it in person if the majority of your competitors aren't even close to being in the area.
Yeah, I'm more disappointed of it because I just like the people that are in that league. Like those are some of my favorite competitors. Nikki, Thomas, like all these great people, Alex, Molly, I could go on and on. They're just fun personalities that I want to see compete. Like I'm not like sitting here going like, oh, I need my Star Wars questions. Like I don't care about that. I like the people that are playing. Like those are some of the funniest people, most entertaining to me that I've like. I would love for them to find a way to incorporate them in somehow, even if they're not playing, like whether that is I don't know, some type of like quick little like funny clip of them studying. I know we're trying to stay away from like digital, but maybe you can just do like a funny video of like them studying and something and they yell at each other or something. I just would like to see them because I love the Star Wars division, but I love the competitors more. I love the personalities more. Like we all fell in love with Nikki last year. Like she's great. One of the funniest people.
And she's on a faction. We know that.
Yeah. So. And so, Gold Leader had us laughing at him and with him
for some people.
No, I'm just kidding. But
I'll never give him their credit.
Yeah. So it's just personalities for me that I miss more than anything. Like those characters or players, if you will. That's what I'll miss. Like if they didn't play matches, then so be it. But like I still want to see those people. Like Alex last year just being like a dork with his fake belt. Like that type, just like those types of things. Like the funny Adam Witt was a Star Wars person doing some of the best promos with Molly before. So it's like, yeah, I just want to see those faces.
I agree. And we obviously don't have a timetable for Star Wars, but it looks like the earliest at the moment that we'll see it is something around Celebration.
So
I don't know if it'll be actually at Celebration because of the ability of getting a room and stuff. It's very complicated to do that. But I would not be surprised if they're able to put something together like maybe that's like a fatal 5-way or a mini tournament or something for the Star Wars division and kind of bring it back a little bit. So that'll be fun because everyone will be waiting way too long to get to that. But with that out of the way, let's get to the second match, the main card of the night. We saw the tease of it last week at the end of the pay-per-view of the Kevin Smith's Chandra Napani match. JT challenged one Brenden the Kid Meyer.
That was a mistake.
And that was a big time mistake. And not only that, but also JT's wardrobe was a massive mistake. I don't know what is going on with him. I don't know if that was Witt's decision or if he's just decided to do something a little bit different this year, but it clearly is not working.
He hit the thrift shop. That's immediately what Macklemore's thrift shop song is immediately what came to mind.
But I mean, look, it's only the first match out of the gate, and JT is a really good competitor, and I think he surprised everyone last year with how good he was playing with Roca, but also playing in the singles and how well he played by himself. This just proves once again that the kid is on a whole other level. Mm-hmm. He is definitely one of the most consistently strong players we have in this league. And I think he said it in his post interview too. This is the first time he actually started the year out with a win. He's lost his first match over the last like 3 seasons or something. And I remember last year he lost to was it Paul Oyama maybe that he lost to? I don't know who he played. Maybe the Barbarian, something like that.
Feels like years ago.
Yeah. Excuse me. But I just think that Brenden he's always been strong. And a lot of that has been playing with Bibbs over the last couple of years. And to me, I think they are the best team that's ever played in the Schmoedown. That's just my opinion. But now he's like, I'm not going to say it just yet, but it almost feels like he's on a uphill climb of passing Bibbs as a little bit of a better player. It's taken a little time. I know. I might get some heat for that. I understand. But over the last year or two, Brenden has been a little bit more consistent with his play than Bibbs has. And I'll never put it past Bibbs. Like, Bibbs is probably one of my favorite players of all time. He's just always been up there for me.
Years ago, when I first started watching, he was your favorite player.
Yeah.
I remember you saying
but
that.
I think Brenden Meyer I think he's in for a big year. I really think he's in for a big year.
He's very much, if you shoot your shot, don't miss, because he is going to put you in the ground if you even fumble in the slightest, because, and that's what Harrison's saying, Jake's hot take. And that seems to be like what happened. Like, he just typical Brenden, like, came in like it was another day in the office, in, out, bam, match won, game over. Didn't even phase him. Like, all right, put another win in the W column right there. Just chalk it up. So I don't want to say that I was surprised. I think I was more surprised with how, I don't want to say easy, but like how he just kind of just came in, did his business, and okay. Like, who's next?
He's got a category. He also got a category for his second round that I didn't think was something that was for him, Kevin Hart. Like, it didn't. Obviously, JT spun away from it. And you have to be very specific to like.
Oh, we need to talk about the spinning aways this mat or this Titans.
You mean on the ones they landed on?
I'm talking about how in the matches this one we were a little afraid of the wild card.
Well, yeah, but if it's your first spin,
I do.
Well, okay, so Brian, you're telling me that if you're up there and you're spinning the wheel, you land on a wild card, you're going to take it strategically if on your first spin.
Roll the dice.
There's no way in hell I will ever believe the fact that you would do that on your first spin.
Roll dice.
You would. There's no. I don't believe it.
Didn't they do that? Didn't someone do that last week?
No, they landed on it their second spin. The Wildberries did. It was their second spin. They spun away from David Lynch. You would not. I'm sorry. You would not take it.
Yeah.
I've known you long enough to know that. I've known you long enough to know that you would not take it.
I mean, Wildberries. Look at how it turned out for them.
They took it on a second spin. It's different from the first spin.
I know, but
of course you have to take it on your second spin. Like you have to.
But I'm just saying, you saw how well it paid off when you got it.
They got the 1 of 3 chance.
But 1 of 3 chance that it worked in your favor and their spinner's choice. There's only one bad. Well, I mean,
no, there could be 2 bad categories.
Yeah.
If you you really have to. You're saying this now on a podcast that is covering the Schmoedown, but in the actual game, if you're playing strategically, there is no way in hell you are taking that wild card on your first spin. I would put so much money on that watching you play that game. There is no way in hell.
What can I say? I'm a risk taker.
You're not, though. You're not. I've known you long enough, and everyone who's listening on audio can. Brian's face clearly. He's not. He is not a risk taker.
I'm bold.
No, okay.
Even Mark and Andrew on the desk were like, "Yeah, here we go. Someone's gonna take."
The boldest thing you've done is try a 5% seltzer. So that is the boldest.
No, maybe hot Taco Bell sauce. That was pretty bold.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Look, as far as the kid and JT goes, the kid crushes it. On JT's side, though,
Gene Hackman.
Maybe he has a little bit of a personality disorder going on right now because I don't know what's going on with him. He's trying to be like a gangster or I don't know.
He had an AK chain on.
He did. Like that was aggressive. Like that was aggressive.
And a pimp cane.
Yeah, I don't know what's
that happening. I think might have been a little too short for him.
Because
he was hunched over holding it.
He's a pretty short guy too. So
yeah.
No, I mean, look, it's the first match out of the gate. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of him this season. And
not to mention he joined Adam Witt.
I was just going to say we can talk about it. Adam Witt did reveal JT as his first official team member, so he is a fan favorite. What do we think about that pairing? Is it an odd pairing or does it work?
I don't like it. I love Adam Witt. Love it. When he came in and did his interview with Jen, like where he caught her off guard, I was rolling laughing. It was hilarious. And he said JT, and I went, really? Like, I get it. He's a former champion. One of the best teams, if some people would say the best team of all time. I don't know.
Why don't you like it?
I just don't like them together. JTE is very much to me a rogue. Like if I'm making a list of people,
to an extent,
I didn't think he even really fit to me. This is my opinion on the exchange. Like he is kind of in my opinion, better off doing his own thing type person.
Well, he did play for Gucci for a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times did Gucci actually show up to manage him?
Every match.
Oh, did he last season?
Oh, no, not. I'm saying when they were part of the.
I'm talking about last season, though.
Well, what I'm saying is, you say he didn't fit very well in the exchange. He played for Finstock for like.
Yeah, but he also had Snyder with him, so it's.
But I'm just saying he did play for a manager.
Regardless, I see him much more as a rogue person. I like comes in, plays, might be that person that spoils your match, and then just kind of like leaves. I don't know. I just don't.
I think it'll look better finding out who he has around him. Who he has around him could matter a lot because JT could go from Like right now, he's the only person on the faction.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying this, but JTE could go from being the A player to the D player, depending on the 5 people that you have on your faction. And he won't technically be like your top tier player because Adam Witt could get some sneaky things and maybe get some legit talent on his team that would not put the pressure on JT, and he would be on the back end of the roster as like the not top tier talent that he has.
Well, either way, he's going to be one of your singles. Like,
well, yeah, but JT is not bad at singles. He's not a bad single. I mean, he almost beat the kid. Or not, he didn't almost beat the kid.
Yeah,
but he had a chance to beat the kid. He had a
I mean, everyone has a chance to beat the kid. Doesn't mean it's going to fruition.
You know what I'm saying.
Brenden murdered.
I know he did. I get it.
You heard it first. Jake has jumped the Merc wagon and now supports JTU more.
I didn't say that whatsoever.
I don't know.
I didn't say that whatsoever. I literally just said I think Brenden Meyer is a little bit better than William Viviani.
That's
literally just said that.
That's slightly blasphemous.
You heard it here first. Hot take. Harrison said it. Hot take. What?
No, nothing.
Sure. Okay, so look, Brenden starts off the year with a win. Their interview is in classic style. Okay. JTE and Adam Witt do their little shenanigans at the very end. I'm curious though. Question for you, Brian: are the fan favorites? Are they heels? Are they faces? Or do they play both?
They don't know what they are.
I agree with you. I don't think they have no idea what they are.
The fan favorites are.
They play both.
Their name should be the Hot Mess Express because, like I said,
no, because we get credit for fan favorites.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Hot Mess Express is mine also. But like I said, when I think of the fan favorites, which kind of right now is like has my heart just because of Adam Witt's chaotic energy, and that's like the best of me. Like when I see them, like I imagine their logo being like held up on a piece of construction paper, written in crayon. Some of the letters are flipped backwards, it just a hot mess, just literally put together with duct tape and sweat and just a mess. That's how I picture them, and I don't think they know if they're heels or faces or
I agree.
Maybe even playing until the day of. Just I love it. While there's
I think it's gonna be interesting to see who else Adam gets on his team. I think he said it in the post interview that he has some tricks up his sleeve. And so I'm very, very interested in seeing what competitors he goes after. Like I said, I do think that it really matters who he surrounds someone like JT with, because JT to me really gives off the vibe of he picks energy off people. Like he is going to thrive on whoever is around him.
I mean, wouldn't you want to play for Adam Witt just because it's Adam Witt?
Yeah, well, and he's a proven manager. You know, he was a player manager last year, and he's shown up multiple times to fill in, and he's done well. And he is very well at talking to players. And like you said, Brian, he has this very different style of energy that a lot of managers don't bring to the table. I mean, hell, he made JT come out as a pimp, for God's sakes. Like,
I'm gonna make the fan favorites their logo. You heard it here.
They have a logo.
Nope. I'm gonna make it. I said, with duct tape and crayons.
We'll see how that turns out
tomorrow at work.
All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about this cutscene stuff here. The one that happened at the beginning, the one that happened in the middle, the one that happened at the end. So I'll break it down before we kind of start talking about it. The opening scene was one of my favorite parts of the entire event, where Ethan Irwin is sitting down with Liz, Jen, and Miller. They're kind of talking, and they officially decide to part ways because Liz has an offer on the table for McCoy. Hasn't officially accepted, but because of the Sam Levine reveal of him not just cutting down the faction, but also returning to play. I see Brian Ward's comment where he says actually zip type there. So Lightning Time is no more. And they are officially going their separate ways. And as Liz walks away a flood of managers come Ethan's way, and he gets a little overwhelmed in the situation.
I gasped when Shannon walked in at first.
Yeah, I thought I didn't. So me too, because I didn't realize the rest of them were going to follow her.
Neither did I.
Because then my immediate mind was, oh, Marisol and Ethan.
I know. That's immediately I went, oh, no.
Yeah.
And then they all flooded in, and I was like, oh, okay. I am like out loud gasped. Because that was not someone I even expected to be around him.
Well, and it was a little foreshadowing for what came later, obviously, with Ethan doing the heel turn. So, yeah, the scene ends with Ethan just kind of being super overwhelmed with the situation, as I would be too. He walks away, and then in the middle of the matches, we get the cutscene with Ethan and Janine, which was very cool because, their time together as a team was very, very short-lived. It was very short-lived. Time Machine was a very exciting team that just didn't get enough chances to play. And it was the first time that we saw like old Ethan back. He's like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, I can really see this happen. And he wanted to sit on it. Fast forward to the very end, and he pulls a Chundru, and we see him essentially put Janine down after bringing her out on stage, and then announce that he is officially joining the Stars, and Roxy Stryer and Chundru Dandapani and whatever the hell Roxy is doing over there. She is pulling everything from her back end right now, getting Chundru, getting Ethan.
I need a new Stars logo with a snake wrapped around it or something like that.
But Ethan then challenges Janine for next week's match. Roxy being Roxy, you have until Tuesday to decide. And Janine being the badass that she is, no, bro.
She said,
no, bro.
Listen here.
Yeah. She slammed that metal arm down on that table. Said, I don't need till Tuesday. It's on. And they are a main card next week. But the big deal is obviously that Ethan Irwin is going heel. And he's going heel. He is joining the Stars and Roxy and Chundru. And at the moment, we think Alex Damon.
Can someone please? I am begging. Can his, like, when they call him, be like, Alex, you're coming back this year. We're bad guys. And him just be like, oh, okay, hold on. Like, turn the light off, turn it back on, and be like, all right, I'm ready to be evil now. Like, just something like that, please. Because this man.
If it happens, we could see Alex Damon pull the Janine situation where he doesn't like what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, she has a Hydra on her hands. She's got Ethan Irwin, Chundru Dandapani, and Alex Damon on her team.
She is literally the head of the Hydra, and all of her tentacles are coming together.
She has a stacked moment. But I did want to say one thing on the behalf of Jill. And this is the one thing. I don't know if she's watching. She might be. I'm not sure.
Oh, please. She's walking around downtown Disney right now.
She wanted to make sure that this was said in the best voice possible, but
Oh,
you're a heel. You're a heel. Everyone's a heel.
She wanted us to channel Oprah on that one.
Because it seems like at this moment in time, we've had 2 events so far this year, and we've had 3 different people go heel that were once faces or somewhat faces.
It's funny because you guys, so I didn't get to watch it till today because I've been so busy. And in our group chat, you and Jill were like, you didn't say who it was. So it's like, you're a heel, you're a heel. So I immediately, the whole weekend, thought it was Brenden. And I was like,
absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not.
So it was kind of fun for me because I'm sitting this whole entire weekend going, how in God's name is Brenden going to become a heel? And why is Jake happy about it?
Oh, no.
So for the reveal to be Ethan, it was kind of a little bit more fun because I was just like, everyone's becoming a heel now. Even Brenden Meyer's becoming a heel. And then all of a sudden he's just like, I'm like, okay, who's this heel? And boom.
So we have 2 things to talk about. One, we have to talk about Ethan on the Stars. But then 2, I do want to dive into a little bit of a conversation about the amount of heel work we're seeing so far, and that if it's a little bit too much for this early on in the season. I know it's all starting out, but before we get to that, let's talk about Ethan on the Stars his compatibility, and what maybe him and Roxy could have this year.
I think it's a weird pairing, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm not. She's a great manager. He's a great player. I don't know. It's a weird. I don't know. I don't think so far it hasn't really registered her team so far. I'm like, this is your team so far? Like, this is such a people I would never put with her or never think to put with her.
I agree.
So it's kind of like, I'm still like, is this going to work? Like, is this going to really work? I mean, you already know this year's off to a weird start if you have Ethan turning heel and Brandon Hanna turning face.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, that's Brandon Hanna turning face, him being a nice guy. That should have been the first sign that
the Hornet
is going to be nuts.
The Hornet.
Yes, singers up. And then, yeah, it's very much like Jill has said. You're a heel. You're a heel. Magnus Thor Magnuson says, "Will Brian turn heel?" I've always been a heel.
You think you're heel?
I just don't like to, unleash my full.
You like to talk
heel-ness.
a big game. That's about it.
That's a heel.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Ethan stuff goes, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird pairing, but we've seen weird pairings in the past, and we've seen weird pairings end up working out in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Ethan's never been into.
Quiet, Jake. Jake Yakavetta said Brian is definitely not.
Thank you, Yakavetta. Thank you. Ethan has never been into. I mean, not that he's never been into it, but he's never really participated in like the whole character side of the Schmoedown.
Mm-hmm.
He's always just been Ethan Irwin. And that's what you get with the guy.
He usually has a shtick for the year, like his action figure or being in Toledo, Hawaii.
It's always worked. Like it's always worked. And so it's going to be interesting to see him really dive into that, because I think like if you're with Roxy this year, clearly you're going to have to be able to channel some type of character that is playing in, because at this point so far, she is the one that people are going to be disliking the most. And because they're coming out and they're being complete a-holes to everyone.
She's making Shannon look like a face right now.
Well, and they're doing it like in this nice way that just makes it really like, I really just don't like it.
It's stabbing people in the back.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see Ethan with her. But at the same time, I don't think whatever Ethan does is going to affect his play. He's still Ethan Irwin.
Yeah, Ethan's going to play as Ethan and answer questions just as good if he's a heel or a face.
I'm sure he'll have some like little jabs to say in the middle of matches, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be him.
I mean, he's always had his smart aleck,
but it'll probably be amplified a little bit.
Yeah,
and then like when it comes to like the post interviews and stuff, I imagine seeing Roxy probably talk a little bit more than Ethan will, because she's better at being the heel than Ethan will. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to believe Ethan being a heel. Like, I just don't know if I will. So,
see, now I'm not going to say he's full-fledged. I swear to God, this Amazon truck driver doesn't know how to drive. He's been backing up for like at last 20 minutes. So I think we've seen him have his quick-witted remarks, and they're like, whoa, kind of sometimes. So like, I could see it a little bit. Are we talking full-blown like Shannon? I don't know about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like at this point, it seems like the stars are like really diving into that Shannon Barney style heel. Like, and Ethan owned that style of action.
Well, if Alex is on that team, good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a little weird, but they were very, very.
For the record, ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea of what Alex is doing.
Cross my heart, I have no idea.
We have.
I really don't.
They haven't told us a thing. So
it's a very like weird, rambunctious group right now. It's almost like the perfect example would be them to like the Suicide Squad. Like you bring together like all these weird, wacky characters, and you just see what happens.
Yeah, and hopefully
right?
some of them survive and it works out.
Yeah. But on the flip side, or real quick, before that one, I want to bring up this super chat from Jared Howard. Thank you so much, Jared, one of our beloved patrons. He says, just popping in. Funny thing with the scene with Ethan and most of the managers, the only one not in the scene was Roxy, and who got Ethan.
Interesting.
So yeah, again,
I didn't even think about that.
So it almost seems like you really have to be paying attention to these scenes because there could be clues as to what's coming.
Oh yeah,
and,
there's a little
and clearly
Easter
that's like a major clue of like, oh, like maybe at that point Roxy already had Ethan, and he was just playing it off.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Very
possibility.
possible.
That's a very big possibility. She keeps saying never trust anyone or whatever the saying
It's
is.
weird that she's telling her players that though, because wouldn't you want your players to trust you?
No,
but you know, anyway. One last question before we wrap up with the final scene of the show. The amount of heels we've seen so far this year, there's a lot, and
I love a bad guy.
I understand that, but we haven't seen a single corruption member come out yet. We haven't seen anyone from the dungeon play yet, whether or not they're going to be heels or faces or the tweeners.
Well, yeah, we have. We saw Smets.
Oh, duh. Yeah, Smets. Duh. Is it too much? Or
I like bad guys.
I understand, Brian, but when it comes to the show, like put together put aside your biased nature of loving the bad guys. When you look at the movie trivia Schmoedown, are we seeing too many heel turns or heels be presented to us compared to faces when it comes to the storylines of the Schmoedown?
Nope.
I can't talk to you about this stuff just because you love bad guys. It's just not fair.
No, I mean, you and I are very much on opposites and have always been opposites when it comes to this specific thing. You love the mercs, and then there's me that likes doom and gloom team corruption. So it's like, for me, it's fine. I mean, you have Brenden who turned face.
Well, okay, so you're mentioning one player, and then I'm talking about.
He's a pretty big heel.
Yes, but I'm talking about Ethan Irwin. Roxy Stryer has always kind of been in a tweener. She's now a full-blown heel. The entire Den faction. No, I've never really fully viewed her as a heel. Then we have the Den and what Kate Mulligan is doing. Like, there are a lot of players and managers, not to mention we don't know what the hell Adam Witt is going to do. Just because
Witt is just a chaotic energy.
Like, I think one day he'll be a heel and the next week he'll be a face. Like, I don't know what the guy's.
He's a tornado. You never know.
It's just like, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I really am not. I'm just asking a full-blown question because I want to have a conversation about the amount of heels that we are seeing, like Jen Kemp and the rest of the Den. And then now we have Ethan Irwin and the rest of the stars. Question mark around Alex Damon at the moment. And even going towards the last scene of the show with Ty Lieberman, Whitney Seibold, and Zaflirtenflaus, they're going to be heels. They are going to be heels.
See, now, there are some people, to me, that you could classify as heels, but like when I think of a heel, I think of just an absolute a-hole. Like,
I think they're going to be heels. Heels are also
coming. I see now, for me with them, it's more like just smart ass personality type. Like I know you said it.
Chat, I would love to hear you guys. Chat.
I know you're going to say
if you think Zaflirtenflaus, Seibold, and Lieberman will be heels or not. Please let us know.
I don't know. I just like.
Well, okay. So, real quick. Yeah. I'm going to bring up the comment. Movie Trivia Schmoedown, thank you so much. Christian, if this is you, thank you. There are a lot of heels, but maybe there will be new faces soon. Maybe. Of course. Like, I get that. Of course, there's probably going to be faces. I understand that. All I'm saying is we've had a lot of heels. There's been a lot of heels.
Jake just can't handle all the bad guys. He needs some good guys to help balance himself out. I'm for it. I love me a bad guy.
And look, I get that. I get that it's the way the storylines are told are specific. And right now we're getting the heels. Eventually there will be some face turns from some people. I'm just like spread the love a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Corruption's, you heard it here first. Corruption's going to be the face team. That
Corruption's going
ship.
face.
Yeah,
they're gonna try and take Babyface
They're
award away from Quirky Marks.
Yeah.
Oh my god, could you imagine Shannon as a face? Holy crap. Jesus.
No, I tried. I no. No, I don't care. Like we've seen so little people so far that I'm just like whatever.
And again, like we've only seen like what 2 handfuls worth of people.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot to go. I'm just saying, like 2 weeks in, I'm like, damn, where are the faces in this place?
I will say this to your point that's being made. I want more than anything for Janine and Marisol to be a team, but that would mean putting Janine into a heel, and she is not.
I don't think so. I think it would take to put them together. I don't think Janine's ever going heel. So it would be
that's what I'm saying.
You'd have to take Marisol out of her situation.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I don't see that happening. So what I was saying is like my dream was to see those two together. It's to me the way Janine's story is playing right now. I don't see something like that happening. She's obviously staying to the light side, if you will. So I would assume someone that she's going to end up pairing with is going to be a face, if you will, because she has pushed away Roxy. She has pushed away the Chundru. She has pushed away the evil Ethan now. So I would assume we're going to see her with a face.
And yes, Magnus, Marisol isn't really a heel, yes, but she's on a heel faction right now.
Yeah.
So that's why we're just
have you seen her sword?
That?
That's heel. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of, and I know we have to talk about that last scene, but I do want to ask the chat, and I want to ask us, Brian, one pick right now, because we will probably find out next week who is managing Janine the Machine.
I don't know. Not Roxy, not Kate, not Shannon. No, I don't see Witt.
I have one pick, and it's all based on a player that you pair her with. This is solely based on pairing.
Okay, I've got mine.
Winston Marshall.
Yep.
And you pair her with Paul Oyama.
Yep. That's what I
boom.
Yeah, that's where I went. Right when it was swag. If I'm going, I know a lot of people are saying Kaiser after. A
lot of Kaiser in here.
I would put
Leo,
him,
Jeffrey, Gordon, Mick.
I would say the top 3 would be Coy, Kaiser, Winston.
Yes, I agree.
I honestly would maybe go in the order of Winston. See, but Coy would be full if Shannon joins. So I guess I would have to go Kaiser, then Coy.
Yeah, Coy's last because right now the offer is already out for his 5th player in Liz.
Yeah.
And if she accepts, then he's out.
Yeah. So I guess Swag. Swag would make the most sense. And I mean, let's be honest.
Winston, Janine, and Paul, are you joking me?
Janine is quite
with
swaggy.
Ace Cabrera on your back end as your Star Wars player. Who do they have an IG player? Did he announce? He announced someone, didn't he?
I feel like his team is full. Who am I? I'm drawing.
I thought he announced a couple players, and so chat, please let us know. It was a couple weeks ago. He announced a couple players. I don't see Finstock at all for
Amaru.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh my God, Janine is so joining that faction. Janine is so joining that faction. You heard it here. Janine is going swag. She's getting her swag back.
Yeah,
100%. She's in a team of Paul Oyama. Oh my God, Winston needs a second singles player. Duh. Oh, and Klee. Oh my God. Oh, dude.
I'm in my head already trying to. Brian Ward said primetime machine. I'm thinking prime machine. Now that sounds like something Amazon would own. Primetime Machine, I guess. Can't really say time.
Machine of Time.
You can't really go with Time Machine.
Machine of Time.
Machine of Time. Primetime Time Machine.
All right, so look, we don't know if that's official, but if Winston walks out as Janine's manager next week, you heard it here first, everybody. All right, last thing.
If anyone in the chat thinks that that's not a good idea, I don't know what you're thinking, because I think that would be a great.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I think Winston's going to swoop right in and grab Machine away. Oh my God, Optimus Prime. Chuck, that is great, Chuck. That is great. Hot Tub Time Machine. Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so last bit here. We'll talk about the scene at the very end. We already kind of talked about it a little bit, but Ty Lieberman and Whitney Seibold, they team together. They decide to partner up because they've kind of been thrown to the side a little bit by their former factions and team members and partners of the Schmoedown, and they kind of want to get a little revenge. They don't want to do it themselves, and it's revealed that it's a flirt and
They're playing for the biggest stinker himself.
They're playing for the Flaus. The Flaus is an official manager in the movie Trivia Schmoedown. The former First Class League champion is now a movie Trivia Schmoedown manager. The Flaus stuff aside is like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But as far as Whitney and Ty go, I think they're a perfect pair for each other.
They're very good.
They really do fit well together. I'm interested in seeing how they play. Whitney has always been, we've talked about it, Whitney has always been the guy who has always had bad luck. He has always had bad luck. And maybe Ty can turn that around, but they really are a perfect pair when you put them as a team. So I'm very excited to see them play together eventually.
Yeah, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Whitney was when I first started watching, he was one of my favorite people. And always just ran into like some teeny thing that stopped him from like what seemed like having a belt. And Ty knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that this could be a really great team. I am very curious to know what the name of this faction is. And I'm very curious to know what the name of this team is. That's all I've got to say. And who knows? That could be the undercard for next week, for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the scenes have kind of been going now, it almost fits that would happen. If not next week, then maybe soon. Yeah, I mean, it's like Brian said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
A lot of stinkers.
I can't wait to see a Flaus versus Kate matchup.
I didn't even think about that.
Those two are going to be great against one another. But yeah, I imagine it's going to create some very fun scenes between the three of them with the Flaus managing. So, but yeah, all right, everybody, that's gonna. Unless Brian, you have any other final thoughts?
Trying to think. I mean, is there anything that we skipped over? Anyone say anything that we missed that you guys?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything with Titans. I will say that we are looking into a time to do reaction this week.
We're trying to figure out how to make that happen.
We're trying to figure out how to make it happen. I don't want to give a guarantee, but the day we're looking at is a Thursday. Seems to may work out best for us, but we will see. That is a TBD. We are trying our best to get back into the fold. It's thrown us for a little bit of a loop having the matches released on Fridays and trying to get back together as a group to do these reactions, but they will be coming. They will be coming, and so yeah. Leo says the fish called Wanda gangster challenge. I mean, I understand the challenge, but I side with the ruling.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been an Adam Witt match if he didn't throw a challenge somewhere.
Yeah, it was. The better challenge was the Roxy challenge with Chunger from the week before, my opinion. So
that was one of the best challenges I think I've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I mean, a challenge to throw him off the game, see if it works, but I think ultimately the right call was made.
If you're announced that you just lost and there's even a doubt, why not? I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? You don't have another question.
Yeah.
The match has already been so far said that person's gonna beat you. You never know. You could throw something against the wall. You never know what's gonna stick. So, I mean, that I can understand the thought process of that. But yeah.
I agree. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up the show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. All of you have been watching this whole time. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be in the like tens
Sevens
of people, 7 maybe. Because I mean, listen, I know we're not the best pretty faces with the ladies not here, but we appreciate you guys sticking around.
Yeah, no, we like talking Schmoedown, and we like having you guys to converse with. And so, yeah, look, the show is every Sunday, 6 o'clock Pacific, right here. We'll be back next week with the show. Hopefully, we're getting a reaction out this week. And we're trying our best to figure out how to choose the reaction because there are two
how to do
choose
it
from. But we'll do our best to keep you up to date on Twitter. And if we decide to go live, you'll obviously get a notification if you hit that bell on the channel of when we go live. We'll post in the Facebook group, etc. That way, everyone can get back on track. Brian, just quickly here, where can everyone find you online before we head out?
Be Valsino on Twitter and Apocalypse Movies with this guy. We have no movies came out last week, so
we might skip a show.
There was absolutely nothing that happened last week. Jake didn't happen to just see like one of probably his favorite movies of the last couple of years. So yeah, nothing.
So Apocalypse Now on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. If you're interested in movie discussions, Qui-Gon Jake on Twitter. 2 ends. Someone else took it before I did. I'm going to do a quick plug for myself. Gabby and I are back at it with our Marvel reactions. If you guys are interested in watching someone who has never seen a single MCU movie in her life, she is doing full-blown reactions. And we just finished Thor. That is officially up on the channel. And we have Captain America, the First Avenger next. And then actually on Thursday, I am lucky enough to be joined by the Damons on the Whiskey Jedi for some Star Wars talk, and there might be something very big to talk about then. We'll see the rest of the week. We'll see. But yeah, so everything Schmoedown, hit up Schmoedown POV on Twitter, hit up our Patreon. A lot of cool things happening over there. We're having a great time. This month's bar trivia might be very interesting for all of you all. Check it out.
And ladies and gentlemen, if this happy hour plans,
oh yeah, we're not going to reveal anything yet, but it might be our biggest happy hour yet, everybody. Might be our biggest happy hour yet. But yeah, thank you again so much for joining us. We hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.